Well, hello everybody, back again, Martin here. Welcome to the channel. I've got something a bit different for you today. Some of you probably know I've got connections in Colombia, and some of you might also know that I deal in property in the UK. So why don't we put the two together and go and buy a house go and buy a house in Colombia. How stupid does that sound? Anyway, that's the plan. I've got the tickets booked. I'm off to Heathrow tonight and we're going to fly to Bogota, and then I've got a couple of hours wait in the airport, and then I've got a little flight, only 20-25 minutes, down to a city called Ibagué in Tolima. I've seen a house there which I quite like the look of. It's in a gated development, which is quite popular down there because it's nice and secure. It has security guards at the front gates and all that stuff. So, as I say, I've bought and sold many houses here, so I know exactly the procedure here, but I'm not really very familiar with how to do it over there. I have done a bit of research, but it's all quite new ground to me. And I'm also a little bit concerned because Colombia is a very corrupt country and you can't trust anybody, not even a solicitor or the police or anybody. You can't trust anybody. So I'm not actually sure how it's going to go. So why don't you come along on the adventure with us and see how we get on, all right? I'm sure it'll be fun. Well, good morning. It's 3:30 in the morning and I've just arrived here in Colombia. Just cleared customs. There's the customs behind us. And I am very, very tired, so I'm going to go downstairs and have a rest. I've got another 2 hours to wait for my connecting flight, and then we'll be off down to Ibagué. So we'll catch up with you then. Take care. Hello everyone, it's Monday afternoon. I've had a bit of a sleep this morning after that big flight yesterday. Well, actually I arrived this morning at 7 o'clock this morning, so we've got an appointment with the seller at 2 o'clock, so we're just going to go off now and have a look at the place. This is where we live. Okay, so we'll catch up with you there, alright? Take care. So here we are, we're just outside the place now and we're waiting for the lady to arrive. It's called Andalusia Nueva and it's just over there. There it is. It's just, entrance is just there. This is what the place is like. Music everywhere. Okay, so wish us luck, and we'll catch up with you in a minute. There's the missus. Okay, wish us luck. Okay, vamos. En 2.033.500. Bueno. Tenemos
trato hecho hoy ¿qué? Septiembre 27 del 2022 con el señor Martín hemos acordado compra de esta hermosa casa en 2.233.500.000.
Well, here we are. There's the house. Se dice se vende, which means for sale. So we've just bought that house. Y mira, la dueña, the owner and the missus. There we are, okay. Okay, and that's how it's done over here. So we're going off to the solicitors right now, and I'll give you an update on progress much later. Okay, but there we are. There's the house. And there's the street outside. But it's very secure here. We have a swimming pool. Just down there we have a swimming pool and a kind of kids play area, or a bit of a garden I suppose. There we are. So catch you up later. This is the solicitor's office, which is on notaria. Okay. So this is typical. If you want to buy or sell a car or a motorbike, you all come here and you make your deal here. So all the paperwork is sorted out and there's no arguments. So this is typical. The lawyer just left a moment ago. He sits there, and there's another lawyer in the app. See, notario y escrituración. It says there. So this is typical, and it's usually very busy here. There's always something going on here. Very typical of a Colombian solicitor's office. There we are.
Voy a preguntar cuánto me gasta la notaría. Espérame que estoy haciendo para administración.
That's the chap in the middle, Gregorio. Bueno. So this paperwork here is like a letter of intent. It's a promise that we're going to buy the house, and we also give a deposit of 5 million peso, which is about £1,000. So this letter sets out all the details of the purchase and any kind of fine we have to pay if we don't complete the purchase. So this is us promising to buy the house and also pay the deposit. So that's all done. And in a couple of days we will be able to hopefully make the purchase complete. So we're back here at the notary again this morning. They had to add my documents here. This is my details here, because I didn't have my passport with me yesterday, and you can't do anything without a passport around here. So we had to come back this morning, have my ID verified. They took my fingerprints as well, which is quite common here. So we're just waiting for the rain to go off. I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't look so bad now. It was chucking it down a minute ago. So we're just waiting for the seller's daughter to come and pick us up in the car, and then we're off back home for lunch. So catch up with you soon. I'm just standing outside the bank right now, and I've just verified that the money is actually in my account, and that was a long process. That's taken about an hour and a half to verify that the money has arrived, because the money wasn't actually in the account. It was somewhere in the ether in between their bank and my bank. So it's taken about it's taken an hour and a half for the money to actually arrive, for them to kind of grab it from the ether, as it were. But there's the bank up there, the vivienda. So I'll add a little piece in with a full explanation of what happened, because it's not quite so straightforward, and with the change in the exchange rates, with the pound being so low at the moment, I've also lost a load of money. So I'll add a little bit in when I've got time to tell you about that. But for now, the missus is at the bank next door, which is that one, which is Bank Colombia, and she's getting the deposit out to give to the seller. The seller's actually there with her at the moment, which is handy, because when the tellers want to ask you something, at least buyer and seller are sitting together so they can answer each other's questions. Okay, so that's it for now. We'll get back to it, but my God, what a process this is. British banks are superb. Okay, bye for now. So let's just talk about the mechanics of sending the money over here. My very best piece of advice to anybody is to open a bank account here in your own name. There are many national banks here, but there are also several international banks that are quite happy to accept international money transfers. And they're the people to go to when, obviously I'm a foreigner, that a foreigner can open a bank account here. Now the reason for this is that when you send the money from your account in UK, you're sending it to your own bank account over here. You're not sending it to a lawyer or the seller or anything like that. You're sending it to yourself, so that if anything goes wrong, you still have the money. The money either arrives here in your bank account or gets rejected and goes back to your own bank account in UK. But the money never leaves your possession. So that's my very first piece of advice, and I think it's the most important too. Obviously, you're going to come to this country to look at the house first. So while you're here, open a bank account. I already have 2 bank accounts. I have one in Da Vivienda and one in Colombia. So I send money to myself regularly for day-to-day expenses. But I also sent the big amount of money here to buy the house to my Da Vivienda account. Now, I bank with Lloyds in UK, and I sent that here for only £9.50. So, this is the difficult bit, exchange rates. Now, when you send money from UK, because it's Colombia, no banks in UK have a direct transfer system with Colombia. So, if you were sending, say, to Poland or Spain or anything like that, banks have a list of currencies that they can transfer direct. So they could transfer direct from pounds to euros or whatever. But obviously Colombia isn't a very popular country to send money to, so they don't have an arrangement to send money here. So what actually happens is the money is sent from the UK bank account, and it is then converted into dollars, US dollars, and then it's converted into pesos. Now, what I didn't realize, and this is the problem, I didn't realize the exchange rate at the time. Now, the problem there is that there are now 2 exchange rates involved, one from sterling to dollars and one from dollars to pesos. Now, when I sent the money about 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, I thought I'd get myself organised, send the money early in case there was any problems. So when I made the transfer in UK, the pound was about 5,300 pesos on the day, and I thought I was getting quite a good exchange rate. Now, when I got here, the problem is that the money is actually sent to the bank, but not to your account. So the exchange rate I was given when we went to the bank and drew the money down, the exchange rate I was given was the exchange rate on the day that I was sitting there in the bank. Now, what with the current turmoil in finance at the moment, unfortunately, my 5,300 pesos per pound, by the time it was converted to dollars and then converted to pesos, and the abysmal exchange rate that I was given on the day, I actually got 4,423 pesos per pound, which is dismal. So I actually lost 16 million pesos in the transfer of money from pounds to pesos. So please bear that in mind. Just here, there's a little picture of the chart on the day, and you'll see that the pound was about 5,300 beforehand, and then it dipped down to 4,000 something, 4,400, and then the very next day, would you believe, it was back up to 5,100. So unfortunately, I was at the mercy of the markets, the mercy of world finance, and that's the chance you take sometimes, so bear that in mind as well. Well, that's it. We've just come out of the bank. The seller is just there, and we're just getting the last 5 million pesos out of the bank for her. But she's got a handbag with 60 million pesos in it. She's made some deposits with the rest of the money into I don't know, things of hers. Just another little aside, the banks, although that chap there looks quite nonchalant reading his phone, he's actually armed and dangerous. So that's the way life is over here. The guys. Here's a bank guard, and there's another one standing there. Oh, here's another one. He may seem quite nonchalant, sitting on his phone, but he is actually armed and dangerous. So don't try and rob a bank here. There we are. Well, here we are outside the bank. We've just done the money transfer to the seller's account, so the house officially is ours. We signed the documents this morning at the notary, so everything is in order now. The lady's just gone in to make a deposit in the bank with some of the cash that she has. She's got 60 million pesos in her handbag in cash, so she's gone to deposit that in her bank account, which is the Bank Colombia. And then we're going to go down to the house, get the keys and introduce ourselves to the administration, because it being a block of flats or a closed community, there's administrators who live there and we have to be introduced to them. So that's it, the transaction is completed right now. In a week or two we will get the deeds, which is the escrituras, equivalent of our deeds in our country, in our name. But we've signed everything up this morning, everything is done and dusted. The transaction is actually complete about 2 minutes ago with the transfer of the money to our bank account. So that's it, job done. Yeah. Okay, the house is ours. Ya la casa es nuestra. ¿Cómo te sientes, amor? ¿Feliz? Muy bien. So let's just run through the comparison between buying in UK and buying here in Colombia. I've got some notes written down here. So the escrituras are pretty much exactly the same as the title deeds to your house here. So that's the same. The letter of intent to buy is exactly the same as the contract between buyer and seller, where in legal speak it says the buyer will buy and the seller will sell. So that's exactly the same as well. So pretty much everything really is the same in both countries. So the whole process was, we went to view it, we agreed a price, and then we went off to the notary who does everything. He's not necessarily a lawyer, he's a notary, which is like a kind of government official. So we went off there and they wrote out, while we waited, they wrote out the letter of promise to buy. So we both signed that. Well, three of us signed that because me and the other half were buying, and the seller. So all three of us signed that. We then went up to the bank with the seller and we withdrew 5 million peso in cash and gave to her. That's £1,000. So the deposit was £1,000. From there, a couple of days later, now there was a small delay because the lady had a mortgage on the house and she had to have a letter from the bank which stated that they gave her permission to sell it so that she could repay the mortgage. So that was a 1 day delay, that one. So on the Friday we went up to the notary again, and they had written out all the purchase contract previously. That was all pre-written for us, and we signed the papers. Now upstairs in the notary there's a room where you can go and sit, and there's several other people there. You can go and all sit in your little table and go through the papers at your leisure. So there's no hurry to do anything, because some of these papers are 15-20 pages long, and in Spanish of course. So so we all went upstairs and we sat and looked through all the papers and made sure everything was right. There was one small error which we went back downstairs and they corrected that, gave us another set of papers. So we signed the escrituras, which is it's the deeds basically. It was a copy of the deeds to say that we will now be the new owners. So the seller, Victoria, and I went to the counter at the bank and I withdrew the total sum less the deposit. That didn't arrive all in cash because she wanted to make two deposits, one to somebody and one to the mortgage lender. So she paid off 155 million peso to the mortgage company. So what was left after she transferred to somebody else as well was about 65 million peso. So that arrived in cash. And she took that in her handbag, and we both went to the bank next door and she paid some of that into other things. That's her business. But at the point of delivering the money to her, remembering that we'd already signed the contract at the notary, so the sale was complete at that moment that we transferred the money to her. Now after that, we had a little celebration in a little cafe next door with a beer, like you do here, and we took a taxi back down to the house, and she handed over the keys, and that was the transaction complete. Now that whole transaction took only 3 days. I arrived here on when did I arrive? I arrived here on Tuesday morning. We looked at the house on Tuesday afternoon, and by Friday morning we had paid for the house, signed all the paperwork and taken possession of the keys. So that's not a bad process for over here, because over here things tend to take a lot longer than you think. I was quite impressed. Obviously I'm quite familiar with the buying process in UK, so over here I could see a lot of similarities, which was quite a comfort to me, because in essence I didn't see anything which I was worried about or apprehensive about. Everything went to plan. I'm sure things could go awry many times, but everything went to plan for us, and we're very happy with the purchase. So if you ever are thinking about making a purchase over here, go for it. Okay, write me in the comments if there's any questions you want to ask, and I will do my best to answer them. Okay, so bye for now. Oh, and just another thing, I will make another video. We're going to have a builder come in and renovate the house, so that'll be a complete separate set of videos. So watch out for that. Okay, so good luck, take care, hopefully see you soon.